Hey, I'm Brad.
And I'm Josh with the Vape Chan. In this video, we're going to be doing an in-depth review of Innokin's iTaste VTR. It's the spiritual successor to the MVP, which was their first box-style variable voltage device.
This is a variable voltage, variable wattage device. It can go from 3 to 6 volts in 0.1 volt increments, and it can also go from 3 to 15 watts in 0.5 watt increments. This does have an amp limit on it of 5 amps, and it runs off an 18650 battery.
Right, and the way it differs from its the previous MVP is it doesn't have an internal dedicated battery, so you can change out the 18650 through the bottom. There's no charging port either into or out of the device, like the MVPs could charge your phones, things like that. The ohm meter actually works. If you have an MVP and you've ever hit the button after waiting through your amp limit or your puff counter, it'll give you an ohm readings. It's pretty much unrealistic. Some of them work, some of them don't. But all of them work on the VTRs now, and there is no puff counter on it.
It is a very, very heavy mod. I mean, on its own, it's about 12 ounces. That's without an atomizer or anything added on top. Now, you know there are some huge atomizers out there that can weigh up to like 3 or 4 ounces on their own. So it's so heavy. If you ever put this in your pocket, you better have your drawstring tight or else your pants are going to fall off.
Yeah, or a good belt. The way it functions is actually very simple. The fire button's on the side, and it uses a dial on the top to adjust your voltage wattage. Getting in there is pretty easy. Brad will show you on the top there. The button, you hit this button on top to get into the menu on it, and then you can actually flip back and forth between voltage and wattage and then adjust it. It's really simple to use as far as like some of the more tough ones you use, like the single button interfaces on the Z-Maxes, the Provaris, the menu, even on the VV, the iTaste VV, getting through it's kind of troublesome and tiring, but it's very simple.
So easy, so fast. You can just go back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, as far as these devices go, this was my favorite variable voltage device to rock. Yeah, if you need the ability to adjust wattage voltage, this is the top of the line pretty much, unless you want all the bells and whistles like an eVic. As far as just being rugged and sturdy, I rocked one of these for a while. I modded mine up actually to accept a K-foam. We'll get into that in a second. But I'm brutal on all my stuff, and I was brutal on it, and it held up quite well. It actually gets a nice character look as you use it for a while, the chrome and stuff like that.
Picks up fingerprints really easy though.
Yeah, this version does. This is the chrome version, and not to get all metal nerdy on you guys, but it's they call it stainless, but it's actually a pretty low quality stainless that they do the top and the bottom out. On the one that I machined, I actually ran into patches of brass on the inside of it, so that was kind of interesting. I always wonder why you would chrome plate stainless steel, and the reason they did that is because it's not all that great. It's stainless, but it feels really solid. It's really well put together. I've had mine completely disassembled for modding purposes, and they did a really great job with these. It does include an atomizer that comes with it. Brad can tell you about that. Yeah,
iClear 30S. It's basically an upgrade from the iClear 30. It's very, very similar, the whole way it's constructed. It does have the swivel tip, just like the last one did. But if you can see on the inside there, the wicks are actually enclosed in their own department. All those little punches in that cylindrical tube are just juice reservoirs, so the juice can get in contact with those wicks. It's not a bad atomizer. It rarely floods. It is a dual coil atomizer, so sometimes it burns. I'm not a fan of the dual coil, like consumer level products.
When we build our dual coil atomizers, we put a lot of care into making sure the coils inside are exactly the same, because even a very minor difference in the resistance of a coil will cause the current follows the path of least resistance. So if one of them's got a little less resistance, it's going to go through that one, and you end up with one coil hotter than the other. When we're building coils, we can see that because one will glow brighter than the other. On these consumer level devices, you guys know, with the EVOS and Pro Tanks, the coils, they do a decent job, but they're mass produced. Now you add into that another coil that has to be exactly equal. Generally, you're going to get one that burns a little bit warmer than the other, and sometimes you can taste that, and sometimes you can't. That's always the perils of a consumer level device. But as far as the tank goes and the way it works really well, and it complements the VTR really well.
You can tell that the VTR was almost built around the iClear 30S. It fits perfectly into that little stability ring there, which we'll get into here in a minute. and it's almost the perfect height for the device.
But you're not pigeonholed into using that atomizer. What they included out the gate is this adapter that'll replace that atomizer and allow you to use any other type of device, like an EVOD, Protein Mini, Clearmizer, stuff like that. It does fill the cavity up really well and allows you to run other stuff. However, like for a K-Fun,
you have this adapter in here, and you throw a K-Fun on top of it, or any really long, huge, bulky atomizer. It kind of just looks funny. I mean,
when they redid E.T., Spielberg wanted to take out the guns, and they wanted to replace them with walkie-talkies. They didn't replace them with walkie-talkies. They replaced them with VTRs with Russians on them, because that's really what it looks like. And we don't normally get into this kind of thing, but this is one of those devices, like set up like this, starts to border on, if you walk around with this looks odd.
Yeah, suspicious.
The joke we used to make in here is like, some of these mods, when they get to this point, and this is kind of off topic, but there's some of these devices that, just
bang bang.
Yeah, right. So it can create that illusion and stuff like that. So just be mindful of things like that when you start getting into these really big mods like this, because you tell people that's your cigarette. But it is cool. It's cool as hell. With the K-Fun on top or a Russian like that, it does get kind of bulky. But we went through and we grabbed a couple of the more common consumer level devices that someone might be inclined to plug onto here to kind of see what fits in the cavity and what doesn't. How big is the cavity on that?
The cavity we measured was actually 19.5 millimeters, so you are restricted to some of these smaller end devices. Like we said earlier, though, you can modify this. You can grind this down to make it accept larger diameter devices. But doing that, you void any kind of warranty you ever had.
Yeah, I did it. I'm a rebel.
It turned out perfect, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll accept a Vivi Nova. That fits in perfectly. It'll accept a Pro Tank.
Yeah, screw that all the way on and show where the actually ends up. There's a couple of lines on there that almost make it look like it was made
almost
for.
flush.
Yeah, I mean, it creates a really nice look, and that's a Pro Tank too. So that's a really solid consumer level device. It's kind of on the top end of what we do, the consumer stuff we do here. But it creates a really sleek look on it. So that's a nice thing to have on it for sure. That's about as big as you can get. Like I said, the Vivi fits, that fits. Cardo tanks will fit. But you start getting up into the K-Fun and
the more advanced devices.
the Nautilus. We don't have those yet. These are awesome. They're coming. Everybody's sold out of them at the moment. We will be getting them in. It's a 5 milliliter tank, I believe. I've heard saying it's mine, it is his. He's got the only one in Southern Illinois. But the Nautilus tank will not fit under any circumstances. I believe when we were at Vape Bash, where we picked this one up at, I even tried to plug this onto my modified one, and
still wouldn't.
It wasn't. It's too big.
It wasn't happy.
It wasn't happening. So yeah, but you can kind of see what you can run on there and can't run on there, and then with the stove, the pipe that comes off of it, you can run whatever you want. But that atomizer is not bad. I'm not a huge fan of consumer level dual coils just because of what I talked about earlier. But that's actually not bad. He's rocked it for a while.
Yeah.
Brett's rocked it for a while. People like them. They're not too bad. And it does come with the kit. And we now stock the replacement coils on them. So that's not too bad. But atomizers aside, yeah, you can get some stuff to work, some stuff won't work. But it's not too bad. The next big thing on this one, like Brett was talking, when you put it in your pants, it'll pull them down. iTaste actually makes a holster for it. Yeah, the
nice little belt holster.
Yeah, this one's actually cool. I used it for a while. Not this one, but it will take. You can put that stove pipe in the inside of it. Let me get this back out of there. But you know, it'll hold stuff in there. And it has a slit in it for storing things. But what it does exceptionally well is hold a VTR. Sorry, we left the gravity on.
Yeah, forgot to turn it down.
Yeah. All right, so.
You know those people that walk around with their cell phones attached to their belt? Well, imagine that with a VTR.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I dug the holster on it a lot. It was always right there, so that was kind of cool.
It works pretty well.
Yeah, holster. So.
So let's get into some pros and cons of
Sure.
this device. The pros, you know, it does have this nice stability ring that makes it See, even more sturdy. That was a perfect example.
I
Thanks.
love knocking them.
Makes it even more sturdy and protects your atomizer as well as your threading down here. If you were to drop this, even if it lands right on the tip of the atomizer, it might break off your drip tip or whatever tip you have on there, but it's going to protect this threading that's down here.
And your atomizer, yeah.
I mean,
drip tips come and go, atomizers are forever.
Yeah.
The one thing I would point out about this articulating drip tip that's on here is it is a thread in. It's not the standard 510 connection in there, and I don't think we've ever gotten a 510 stick in there, right? So you are pigeonholed with this particular atomizer with this particular drip tip.
Yeah, but that's only that atomizer.
Right, just that atomizer right there. But that's still a pro, for sure.
And it does come with the adapter in the kit. It comes with basically everything you see right here.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you need to get started, minus a battery and juice.
Yeah.
It's very easy to use. The system, we'll superimpose some images here so you can see what we're talking about. The button up here, just one push and it gets you to everywhere you need to go. It'll give you your ohms, and if you push it again, it switches back and forth from volts to watts. This turn dial, you can turn that and it just quickly scrolls from 3 to 6 volts, 3 to 15 watts, does everything super fast. I know you guys have seen like some of those tip mods that have the vibrating, whenever you turn it sideways, it slowly scrolls.
We got some if you want. Yeah, but yeah, it's an easy menu system to get through. As of right now, they're currently making 2 finishes. Like I said, this is they call this one the chrome, and then that's camo green.
Yeah,
they
army
call it.
camo.
That's neat.
Yeah.
That's neat. It doesn't pick up fingerprints. It's a really pretty color.
Has that nice design on the back.
Yeah.
It just pops right out at you. You know, of course, the iTaste logo.
It's very tactical.
Yeah.
All right, what's next? This firing switch is actually, yeah, I'll give you that. It's got a lot of resistance to it, but it's got a really clicky feel. It
Nice.
feels very
Good
solid.
sound.
Yeah, you want your buttons to right out the gate be good because you know they all age, and this one's actually aging pretty good.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it still
mine's
feels brand
perfect.
new. Yeah, just as I showed you a minute ago, now they're pretty sturdy.
Yeah. You drop this, whatever it falls on is gonna break.
Oh yeah, the battery life indicator on the side. The button illuminates to show you basically how much power you got left on it.
Green for I think 3.8 to 4.2, or no, 3.9 to 4.2. Yellow for 3.9 to like 3.4, 3.5, and then red if it's under 3.5 to 4.
Yeah, and anytime you're using a variable voltage, variable wattage device, when your battery starts to die off, because it's trying to step it up, it's really pulling a lot of juice from it. So you'll find out that you'll be in green forever, and then yellow for like an hour, and then red for like 10 minutes. It's gone after that. But with an 18650 between 2000 mAh, 2600 mAh, you'll be fine. You'll get a lot of battery life out of it. Now time for the negatives. No atomizers over 20 millimeters. 19.5 would Brad mess it out. Yeah, it's really limiting you unless you're willing to mod it, which I am.
I wish you had it. You could show them what you did.
Yeah.
I think sweet.
The battery door on the bottom, I didn't experience this. Brad did. It was popping open and dropping his batteries.
Yeah, dropping it on the ground, the concrete. That's how you actually get into the battery compartment. I don't know if we showed you that earlier. There's this little lock mechanism right here that you just barely push and it pops open. I'd pull it out of my pocket, pull it out of my car, and it would just pop right open like that and just drop it onto the ground. That's a scary moment whenever you drop your battery that high.
30 amp battery in the ground, fully charged. Yeah, be mindful of that. Be mindful of that.
I am not the biggest fan of the button placement on this thing either.
Yeah.
The button, I feel it should like either be higher or maybe somewhere lower down towards my ring finger. It's kind of right in the middle of the device, and I can't hold it too comfortably to push that firing button.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Let's see. The adjustment wheel, it has a mechanical click in it, okay? This is something they do with whenever they manufacture them, to where it gives you that tactile feel like it's clicking as it goes along, but you'll notice that the numbers don't change in correspondence with that click. That click is merely mechanical and unassociated with what really goes on inside. So that's nitpicky, but when you get a high-end mod, you get to be nitpicky. That's how it goes. Looks weird with the adapter, like we covered. Yeah, the walkie-talkie gig, that does look weird, and I every once in a while I'll bash my teeth in with my drip tips. I'm not the only one. And when it's big like that, you're more inclined to do that because it's so awkward.
It's got a little more momentum, so it's going to hurt a little more.
Yeah. Price wise, it's up there. It's $110 here at the Vape shop. That's the EVIX 105, $110 for the VTR, but it's a rock solid device. This pit is a fingerprint magnet, absolutely. When I was rocking mine, I pretty much abandoned trying to keep it fingerprintless because it's just going to. And then you start incorporating stuff like juice on your fingers, and it's game on that.
If the excuse me, I'm sorry. As we were talking earlier about the adapter here, you can only use Ego threaded devices if you're using the adapter. So say goodbye to EVODs, clear misers, all of those standard consumer grade devices unless you're using the adapter. It only has 510 threading inside this little collar here. So you're restricted there even more on the atomizers you can use.
Amber juice, Melanie.
Yeah, it's delicious.
I'm taking a vape.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, I've been vaping this entire time.
All right, yeah, closing up. I love the VTR. For what it does, it's awesome, it's robust, it's solid. Variable voltage, variable wattage, and pretty reliable. I've thrown meters on this. It pretty much puts out what it's claiming. We don't get all Pusardo into the meters and stuff. We just do, hey, that does work.
That's cool.
So it is solid. They're pretty. The two different colors, the option for a holster. Those are all pretty nice things for a mod of this quality, and I dig them. We sell quite a bit of them here, and the people that get them love them. That and the magnetos, yeah.
Those are the two most popular mods we got.
Yeah. Anything else you want to throw in?
Not really. I mean,
Innokin's been known for quality on this stuff. They went through a lot of trouble with the MVPs early on.
Took a lot of rap for it.
A couple versions of it. And I guess they pretty much decided, hey, let's just start over and do this again. One more con I'll throw in there. This is kind of, again, nitpicky. Just when Brad took a vape right there, I heard it. There is a frequency that this thing puts out that whenever you're hitting it, and if you're vaping, obviously if you're vaping it, you're going to be that close to it, that you can hear. It's not in the atomizer, it's actually in the chip, and some of them are a little louder than others. I hear it, Brad can hear it, some people can't hear it, but if you are susceptible to being able to hear the frequencies your device puts out, this one does, so if you don't like its tone, that might not be your gig. But yeah, all right, so we're going to go back to the conclusion. I like the VTR, Brad likes the VTR,
I love
correct?
it.
Cool. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. And if you'd like, come by and see us at the vape shop. Thanks a lot, guys, and we appreciate it.
Have a good one.